This is The Neutral Position, hosted by Nick Palmisciano, bringing honesty and reason back into conversation. Here's your host, Nick Palmisciano.
I want to take a quick moment to thank one of our sponsors. When the founders of Ugly Chews reached out to sponsor the program and I looked at their website and saw the chews, I have to tell you, I thought Ugly Chews were appropriately named. They're very ugly and your dog chews on them. Nailed it. Then the samples arrived and I realized they are not named correctly. They are far, far uglier than the word ugly lets on. They're hairy. They're not artificially colored. They're gross. But you know who didn't find them gross? My athletic body with a dumb face that won't let him breathe, Boston Terrier Rufus. Rufus can't get enough of them. Instead of sitting around slobbering and struggling to breathe, he sits around slobbering on an ugly chew while he struggles to breathe. He loves the damn things. These uglier than ugly chews are healthy. There are no artificial ingredients. There are no chemicals. It's just disgusting, horrific nature wrapped up in an ugly sun-dried chew. And in addition to being good for your dog's digestion, these things don't fall apart and get soggy like rawhide. I hate to say it because they're so damn ugly, but they're the best thing to happen to dogs since man let wolves get close to the fire and domesticated them. And if you're not happy with them, Ugly Chews gives you your money back. So if you want to make your dog happy and healthy, go to uglychews.com. That's right, uglychews.com. Hey guys, welcome to The Neutral Position, and I am excited to have UNC head coach, Olympian, bronze medalist, and all-around nice guy, Coleman Scott on today. Coleman, thanks so much for coming out.
Yeah, appreciate being here, and it's exciting for me, and we go back quite a while, and it's a good time to be here, and maybe spread the word about wrestling a little bit.
For sure. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, like you said, I'm the head wrestling coach here at UNC, and born and raised in southwestern Pennsylvania, and went off to college at Oklahoma State, quite almost 20 years ago now, and spent 10 years out in Stillwater under Coach Smith, and trained there, did my collegiate stuff there, then trained there internationally, then started coaching there, and then moved here to the area in 2014, and been the head coach at Chapel Hill since 15, so it's one of those times. It was a time I needed to move, right? I needed to make that move professionally because it was going to be my future, and but love the area, love the Triangle. Got a wife and 3 kids, so it's not a better place to raise kids and for opportunity, for diversity, whatever across the board, and we're just thrilled to be here.
So you when I was a kid, there were 2 posters up in the wrestling room. One was John Smith, and one was Kenny Monday. And you have shared time with both of those gentlemen. Talk about that a little bit.
Both Cowboys, right? So when I went to college, of course, John was, like you said, right? That was that guy in the, he won 6 straight World and Olympic titles in the late 80s, early 90s when I was just getting into wrestling. And so that was what you wanted to do. Right, I found out from a young age that there was no professional league. It was the Olympics, right? So followed that, and through those years, I wanted to wrestle like John Smith, as everybody did, right? He revolutionized the sport. Always knew about Kenny, always followed him as well. But John was the guy, right?
Yeah, absolutely the guy.
I remember, going to Fargo for junior nationals after my junior year, and John coming up, and my recruiting process had just started, and him talking to my dad and I was starstruck. I didn't know what to say. I was fumbling over my words. And my dad wasn't a big wrestler, so he didn't understand why I couldn't really talk to this coach. And and long story short, so I was sort of sold from that moment, right? This guy. And then, and then when I went to school, got to know, the Cowboy family is very tight-knit, right? So got to know Kenny pretty well. He had reached out to me when I was in school and created a little relationship. And then he moved to Stillwater towards the end of my international career, I think 2010, 11. So he was a big part of that day-to-day coaching for me through 2012 and through the Olympic Games. And then I brought him on staff here at Carolina for a couple years when I took over. So still got a long relationship with those guys. And but yeah, Yeah, I'm sure you read a book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, right? It's sort of like I visualize the right place, right time, right? Like born at the right time. surrounded by the right people, where you didn't have all control over it, right? And so I know my childhood in southwestern Pennsylvania, I had like some of the best coaches you could possibly have without having to search. They were their kids were my age, right? And
it's a different level out there.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is. No matter where you're from, wrestling in Pennsylvania is different. I used to go there in the summers to wrestle, and it was eye-opening how much we had to do to catch up compared to what we were used to.
A big reason I think is, I mean, it's terrible weather all winter from October to March, right? It's gray skies, it's no sun, snow on the ground most of the so what are you going to do, right? You're going to be in the gym. And so there was nothing else that we could miss being outside because you didn't want to be outside, right? So you just fully invested. And I think that the best thing about that the whole state is, right, the coaching at a young age, right? The whether it's your little league from your local school or club. There was no really clubs when I was growing up, right? It was more just your little league. But they wrestled at that high school. They went off to college and they came back and they either teach or they own a business or work, and then they give back to the program that they grew up in, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's probably the state that does it the best. And my little league coach wrestled at Pitt, but he was a Waynesburg grad. He was around a 12. He knew what high level wrestling was. His son happened to be my age, right? Like that was just pure
so you
coincidence.
Had him with you. Yep.
Yeah. And so we went to school all the way through high school, right? And middle school coach was a guy that wrestled in college, and his son was a year older than me. Right, high school coach wrestled at Pitt, but they're all Waynesburg people, right? They're all these. They just came back and gave back to the program, so that just helped me get to what I needed, right? That's your basis, right? And so I didn't have to travel to see any of this, and plus we had this group of probably 10 kids from 8 years old on through high school that we traveled together.
Wow,
traveled the country together, right? And they're out of that group, there was probably 7 that went on to wrestle college, right? Like at a high level.
That's insane.
Right, and then even a couple more.
Numbers.
Yeah, even a couple more that went in on to wrestle the international scene, right? Like me and a couple, so we had this group of people that our parents were best friends, and that's where it also generates from. We had a good group of parents that were enabling us to do that, right? They weren't holding us back, gave us to the coaches, and then they would drive us everywhere.
So you said your dad wasn't really a wrestler.
Yeah, he wrestled, but never.
It wasn't like a big thing.
No, it wasn't a big thing. My grandfather, now it was his thing, right? Like he was. So the story that he always told me growing up was he wrestled a guy in the state finals, and the winner was going to get a scholarship to Waynesburg College at the time, which was wrestling Division I, and he ended up losing, and so he went to the military because he didn't have a scholarship, couldn't afford to go to school. So that was, but it really meant something to him. Hey, you need to, let's try wrestling. At 6 years old, I just brought home a flyer, and he had talked about it, and I tried wrestling, and I sort of loved it from that moment on.
Now, were you good right out of the gate, or did you?
I had success early, right? I think I took first or second in state.
So you were one of those guys.
Yeah,
man.
I had a natural feel for it. I don't. Of course, it's hard to watch film nowadays. It's easy, right? Everything's on an iPhone.
Yeah.
Then it was like old camcorders, VHS, and then it sort of went down.
It's grainy.
Right?
And
and I don't even have those tapes or anything.
Yeah.
I'm sure my parents do or somebody does, but I've never watched. But I think just being around a group of kids that loved it and they were my friends and they had success, it just raised that level a little bit. You just wanted to be like them, type of thing. And having success is a great way to love something, right? Like, and it's there's always these stories of I was bad at a young age and stuck with it. So like kudos to that, but
that wasn't you.
You
were just good.
No, I was good from the start, and I loved it, right? But I played 3 or 4 sports growing up, right? Like I wasn't just a wrestling guy, right? Like my dad actually thought I should be a baseball player, and he thought that was my better sport growing up was baseball, right? And so I saw that size comes into factor. I'm 5'6" and 130 pounds as a senior in high school. I wasn't going to be
hard to be a pro.
I wasn't going to. I wasn't going to be that.
Pro,
it just wasn't going to happen, right? Yeah. I love soccer. I played soccer all the way through high school. Made a couple all conference teams. We made the playoffs as a team, right? Like, and had some small colleges talk to me. But I was like, at that point, I'm like, no, it's wrestling.
This brings up one of the things that you and I have talked about offline. parents are trying to make kids professional athletes very early instead of letting them do multiple sports or encouraging them to do multiple sports. And it's a concern of yours. Maybe
very big concern is individualization at a too young of an age, right? Like I said, I have 3 kids, 11, 9, and 4, right? And they all play multiple sports, right? But they're introduced to them early. Soccer is usually the first one because it's the youngest one you can start. All my kids play soccer at the first. My daughter's big. She played softball this year for really the first time because where we lived didn't have a small program for kids, for girls. Loved it, right? But she's big time soccer, lacrosse. And we want to keep that with them. Really just, you got to love something before you become great at it, I believe, right? And if you tend to hate it, or you love it because your parents love it or your dad loves it, you'll have that resentment junior high school, right? Like not at a young age because you don't understand that. Junior high school, you'll just give up on it because it's your dad's dream or your mom's dream, not your dream. And so we introduce all these sports to our kids, and it's hellacious for really my wife, right? Like I'm there because of my job, but every night, right? Like it's like, hey, Leighton's got this at this time, Stetson's got this, Cash is starting T-ball, right? Like we're 3 practices on some of these nights during the week, right? So it's at 8:30, 9 p.m., get home and see each other for the first time all day.
I get it.
And you understand that, right?
It.
Like so it takes dedication from us to be able to do that, right? So I understand and see from a money standpoint that people can't afford to do everything. But also parents aren't willing to invest the time or their time, right? I get home from work. Well, now it's my kids' time, right? No, I want to go home and I want to sit on the couch. Well, that doesn't happen in our house. Like it is literally, drop them off at school at 7:45 and our day doesn't end till, 8:30 at night every day of the week.
I have the exact same schedule. Yeah, it doesn't end.
But if you don't invest that time into your kids, right? Like you could leave work and say, I want to have some alone time. I want to sit on the couch, watch TV, do this. Right, but now you're taking away from your kids, right? Whereas we have, my wife and I have talked, we dedicated that time to our kids, right? Like, and it's crucial, right? Because we can introduce these sports to them.
But there's a balance, right?
Yes.
So there's the balance of, I want my children to succeed.
Yes.
But I want them to succeed on their own terms.
On their own terms.
And with whatever investment they want to put into their sports. I don't need my kids to win a state championship for me. You know, I've had my time. But one of the things that I see as a coach, because my wife and I both coach wrestling, and we've been heavily involved for a while in the Chapel Hill community. You have parents that put this ungodly amount of pressure on kids to win.
Yeah.
And even sometimes, like when a kid gets off the mat, I only give them positive energy, whether they won or they lost. I don't care. It really, because I know that they just tried their hardest.
Yes.
And maybe it wasn't a good performance, but I'm not going to add to the negative feeling they have from losing with more negative energy.
Yeah.
I have parents come out of the bleachers and tell kids, hey, you should have done this, or you didn't want it, or this and that. And I want to intervene. You can't. You can only provide the kid with positive energy. But it's the weirdest thing to me, and I feel like it's getting worse. So
I've always said I coach kids right out of college at Cowboy Wrestling Club, and then I've gotten back into it with my son being 9. And you ever want to learn what not to do as a parent? Go to a kids wrestling tournament, right? That's what I've lived by. You see positive, but mostly you can learn from what not to do, right? Belittle a kid, yell at a kid, all over a wrestling match at 9 years old, right?
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, does it really matter? Absolutely not,
it
right?
Doesn't. No one cares if you were the 9-year-old champion.
No one.
Like,
right?
literally no one.
Like, people ask me, how many state titles did you win as a kid? I really can't remember, right? Like, it's in this realm of 3 to 5, but I don't know, right? I don't remember the years. I don't really know those years I won.
You just wrestled.
You call my dad, and he's going to give you the same answer, right? Like, he doesn't – we were – at the time, it was cool, but it wasn't our life, right? Like, there was always another day, right? So for me, it's what you said, like, giving them – these are kids, first off, right? And if they have this negative connotation or this worry every time I slip up or I don't wrestle my best, I'm going to get my ass chewed and I'm going to do this and that, right? Like, it's like then they're going to be more reserved to do it.
I look at it even more aggressively. Like, I never want my kids to think my love is conditional on their performance in a sport. Like, I love wrestling, but it's a sport. I mean, it is not life and death.
No.
It is a great tool, for living a good life and for accomplishing things, but
it never, like, if you only relate it to results, you'll be an unhappy individual at the end of the day, right? Because we're going to have failures. There's nobody, like, there's one guy in the history that's been perfect just in college, but he wasn't perfect in wrestling career, right? Nobody is ever. And so if it's tied to that, you will be unhappy, right? Like, and me having kids, it's about learning. Like, my son lost in the state finals this year at that tournament I saw you at, and man, he was upset, bawling.
Sure.
Not bawling, but he was crying, tearing up, and and I had to just explain to him, hey, son, it's you're learning. You've wrestled 20 matches this year. I'm holding you back probably more than we talk about parents, right? Like, he's probably wrestled less matches this year than every other 9-year-old that I know, right? And that's for a reason, right? Like, this is, if you want it for the long term, we'll do it the right way, right? Like, we have this thing, you being at a high level, knowing MMA, knowing high level wrestlers, right? You have a knowledge of what it is at the highest level that most parents don't have, and that's where it really comes into, right? It's about that conditional love. We need to win now, right? No. We need to win at life later, right? This will teach us the discipline, the failures on a mat, right? Like, and that's what I love about wrestling is you can have an individual failure that you truly feel internally. Your heart hurts, your belly hurts, like, that you don't get in other sports, right? Like, and that's why I was drawn to it.
It is different. It's brutal. It's brutal because there is nowhere to look. You can't. I mean, and if you blame anything else in our sport, you're looked down upon. Like, if you come off the mat and you're like, the ref this, stop it. Stop it. Is. No.
And talk about parents in society, right? Like, nowadays it's all about blaming others rather than self-responsibility, right? Like, and that's where, like, in our sport, it's so easy. Well, no, I didn't wrestle the match. You did, right? Like, you can't lead you can lead a horse to water, but you can't teach it to drink, type of thing. Like, I've shown you everything I know. No, that was on you. You cut your weight bad. At my level, weight was bad. You were feeling bad about yourself, and you missed these practice. Like, right? Like, there's all these factors that you all of a sudden forget about. But I didn't wrestle that match. You were prepared. You just didn't do it.
And it's also and this far more than I do, but the higher the level, you're just going to lose sometimes.
Absolutely.
Because, when you're starting to talk about even high school, right? Very few state champs are undefeated. Very few. Most state champs have lost to somebody during that season. College. Everyone in college is an assassin. Even if you're like the worst guy with the worst record in college, you are an assassin. Like, you are the top 0.1% of all wrestlers. And, any of those guys can beat any of them on any given point. You get somebody on their back, they slip up for a second. I mean, it happens all the time. Top guys get pinned.
That's
then at the world level,
it's
I've
hairs.
I've rolled with a few of you type. It's like I don't know the sport. It's like I know nothing. And you watch gold medalists lose. You watch.
None of them are undefeated. I've watched it. Nobody. On the stage today and from Russia, from wherever, they've all have losses. Every one of them, right? And that's, I always view it, and this helps me when I was training, but there's always somebody bigger and badder that's there to take what you want, right? Like, and you got to treat it that way, right?
On any given day.
On any given day. So if I'm not the most prepared, I'm ill prepared, right? Like, and that's like sort of where, in my mind, there's always somebody that's ready to whip me. There's always, it's a fight. It's a controlled fight, right? Like, there's always somebody ready to break me. There's always somebody ready to beat me, right? Like, and if you don't have that mindset, or you think you're the big dog, you will be humbled, right? Like, and this sport will do it, right? Like,
and I don't think there is another sport that has this kind of intensity. And I include MMA in that in a weird way. And I know that sounds odd, because in MMA, you're teeing off on each other. But, when I do jiu-jitsu now because I'm old, and, there aren't a lot of, middle-aged man wrestling leagues, but just the intensity of wrestling, like, you have to dial it back in jiu-jitsu or people won't roll with you. Like, I literally have to kind of be passive at the beginning of rolls and
Yeah.
because you're just used to literally
Yeah,
what
right.
you said was great.
Yeah.
It's a fight where you're not throwing punches.
Where you're not throwing punches. Like, if you don't have intensity when you step in the wrestling room, you will get hurt.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Like, every day I drill, I do something. If I'm not intense, I will be hurt,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that guy across the way, he is.
Yeah.
Right, and he's ready to break you in practice, right? Yeah, your buddies afterwards when you walk out the door, but this time right here, this is my time to get better, right? And so we've always said, like, you only get hurt or you only have these when you're not intense,
Yep.
when you're not ready to go, right? And that's up in your mind more than just physically, right? And it is a fight, like, and that's why you got to view it.
And it's tough to be a parent, you know, kind of coming back to being the parenting thing. I do understand for some of these people, it's tough to be a parent and watch your kid lose, because I hate it. Like, I hate watching my kid lose, but I also know that that is the important part
Yeah.
of the sport. Like, I really think that losing is the most important part of the sport.
It is. It is.
Dealing with it
Dealing with it's the biggest part.
and also accepting that it's on you.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, for example, COVID. You know, we were
Yep.
shut down. Schools were shut down.
Yep.
My kids were at home. It was driving us bonkers, right? Like, trying to teach them at home. They're more rambunctious. They're not getting this. And I'm like, screw it. We're going to the wrestling room. You're gonna learn. I'm gonna teach you. My daughter's 9 at the time, and she's 20, 30 pounds bigger than my son. So, like, she could smash him, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm taking him in the room just to get energy out, right? And she's mouthing off, and I know everything, and this and that. And we got tired. My wife and I were like, this is crazy. I don't know who you think you are, right? Like, we need to find a way to I know it probably sounds ignorant to a lot of people, but we're like, we've got to bring you back down, right? So Oklahoma was still open at the time, and we were still in virtual school. And so it's where my wife's from, and I flew the kids and her back home because there was a tournament there, and I said, you're going to wrestle. You don't even know all the rules, but you're going to figure this out pretty quickly. So I put her in it's an all girls division, but they've been wrestling all year.
Like, before you tell me what happens, part of me is guessing that she won the whole thing.
No, and it worked out perfect in our favor. Now, it probably ran her off from the sport for good, right? But she was ill prepared, didn't even know all the rules. We sent her in. First girl she has, Tulsa Nationals as a kid, it's a big tournament, right? First girl she has, my buddies, she's in my buddy's club, and I text him. I'm like, hey, is this girl any good? Just because I want to give my wife a little bit. Yeah, she won Tulsa last week. And I'm like, oh, shit. Okay, perfect. Anyway, 5-man round robin. She goes 0-4, gets pinned in the first period of every match, bawling her eyes out. And she's like, I will listen to whatever you guys say. I can't deal with it. Like, now she won't ever wrestle again because I put her in that situation.
But you don't know that, though.
But also, like, I knew, like, she probably wasn't going to go that way anyway. But it was like that perfect example of, hey, you need to figure out how to, like, you aren't prepared. I don't know why you think you know everything. You need this failure in your life to realize that. And then since that moment a couple years ago, she's been able to listen. She realizes her coaches are doing it for the construct. At a young age, it's hard to figure out what constructive criticism is, right? And so she figured that out. Hey, they're just trying to help me. They're not telling me I'm wrong. It's just trying to help me. And her attitude's been way better because of the failures and learning how to. I mean, she's getting smashed and slammed on the ground, and she's going like, "What is going on? I don't know anything."
So you had a pretty historic career, NCAA champ. Olympic bronze medalist. I mean, and you were a bronze medalist at a time where we weren't exactly throwing up.
No, it was pre this era.
I mean, this era is amazing.
Yes,
it's people don't.
We won't see it for a long.
This generation doesn't understand how good we have it right now.
No.
But it was a big deal for you to win the bronze.
Yeah,
I mean, it always is. But I mean, it was. Talk about that journey a little bit. Talk about what it's like to be an Olympian.
Yeah, it's always been my dream. So I remember, probably around, I would say 1996 when I was 10 years old, and I really grasped what wrestling was, right? Like, I loved it. It was something I wanted to do. The games were in Atlanta, so there was a little bit more publicity on the Olympics in general because it's in the States, right? And I remember watching Kendall Cross, right? Like, just thinking, like, and it was like, you catch like a minute of a highlight on whatever, NBC or whatever it is, right? Like, because it was not, they weren't showing the wrestling tournament, right?
I
like,
remember.
And so you just catch these little things. I'm like, wrestling, and that's, we're winning. Kendall's winning,
Do you remember triple cast? Do you remember Olympic triple cast? Mm-hmm. That was the best thing that ever happened to wrestling.
Yeah, where you could
actually watch
it, right? Like, because pre all this generate, like it was like whatever's on's on. Right. And so, and they're odd times, right? So you're hitting the VHS record so you can catch this.
So you can maybe catch it.
Yeah. Maybe catch it.
And sometimes they'd change it.
Yes. Right in the middle of the match, right?
So I always tried to record judo and wrestling. Yeah. And like 99% of the time they changed it and replaced it with like rhythmic gymnastics. Yes. So I was like, come on, guys.
Yeah. Same way, right? Even with the NCAA tournament growing up, right? Like you would like, all right, we're in the third period, and I'm like, well, what happened the last 5 minutes, right? What was? But I remember catching that bug then that hey, I want to do this, right? And then fortunately, again, the area I grew up in, so Kerry Collat's from the town right next to me, same county. Sister's my English teacher at my high school in 2000. He makes, and that was my freshman year, he makes the Olympics in 2000. So there's this big for the whole county area. Yeah. This guy's from right 10 minutes down the road. I've known his family.
That's amazing.
So like you have this, it just continued this bug of I want to do that. I want to do that. And then when I went to, Coach Smith recruited me, and I'm like, well, that's why I went there. This guy's the best ever in my mind, right? He's the greatest of all time.
I still think he's the greatest.
I do too, right? Like, and I always say in my opinion, because I know that people can negate it with titles and all, but in my mind, he's the greatest, right? And so like when he recruited me, I was like, I want to do this, and this is how we're, that's why I'm going there. I want to be an NCAA champ, and I want to be an Olympic champ, right? Like that's it.
Yep.
And so when I went there, and it was just, I went in 2004. And there were 7 weight classes at the time. They had in freestyle, they had 3 Olympians, Eric Guerrero, Jamel Kelly, and Daniel Cormier, right? So they're all in the room training. They're all cowboys, and they're still living in Stillwater, right? Like, so I walk in the summer of 2004 as a 18-year-old kid, just turned 18, just there to train in the summer, then start in August. And I'm literally at practice with three of the 7 Olympians getting ready for the games, right? Like, I'm like, this is stupid, right? Like, I couldn't fathom what was going on. And I just created relationships. I just dove right in, got my freaking tail whipped for 6 months, right, by these guys in the college. Everybody's a killer, right, in college, right?
Everybody's a killer.
Guys I never heard of, and I can't sniff a takedown, right? And I'm going like, what is going on, right? I was such a competitor that it just, made me want to do more, right? Like I just dove into it, and so, every year, 2008, Daniel makes the team again, right? And so I'm like, well, we're still just around Olympians every year, right? So it came around. I was, we had talked, and it's like, hey, it's pretty much contingent upon you. Cowboys have had this long standing. OSU's had this long standing of there's an Olympian every games, right? It was on me to make the team, right? Like it's on me. I'm the last one. I'm there, so I've got to do it, right? And I took that on, but I loved it, right? I'm like, no, I am doing this. These guys have done this in the past. I'm continuing this.
Yep.
In that journey. And again, Kenny was there, John was there, and I just bought full into like I was a soldier. I was like,
I'm doing this.
I'm doing it. I'm 25, 26 at the time. I think I know a lot of wrestling, but I'd show up to practice not knowing what the plan was. They would just put me through. Zach Esposito was a big part of that. Like all these guys, like I just showed up like a kid.
Now, did you come up doing freestyle also? Was that just
at about 10 years old?
Okay.
My dad held me back a little bit. Like I probably wanted to start earlier. But he's like, man, it's summer wrestling.
It's too much.
Like, you need to do baseball. You love baseball, play baseball in the spring. So I started at about 10, but it wasn't.
But it wasn't like freestyle was new for you. You had a game.
I loved it. Yeah, I wrestled all the way through high school. Won Fargo a couple times, but growing up, like
he casually dropped. So for those of you that Fargo is an enormous tournament. It's a huge honor. Probably the biggest thing, other than maybe like winning nationals in high school.
Yeah. At my time, there was nothing yet. It was state tournament. And then Fargo in July.
Well, there you go.
Well, there wasn't all this other stuff, right? Yep. Like people didn't realize the money that they could make from these big tournaments. So you did your state tournament, then you didn't wrestle till July, right? Like you had a bunch of little stuff, like you're to qualify for that. But that was what we looked at as a whole was like you could at the time because they had this lapse in the world team stuff, right? Yep. For the younger age, right? Like so from like 2000 till like 2015, they didn't do any of that cadet level, so that under 17 world stuff. So I didn't even know what that was, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, this isn't even an option. Now it had been an option, right? But so we looked at Fargo. That's the biggest tournament you can go to. Let's do it, right? And so, I'd won it a couple times and loved it, right? Summer wrestling and freestyle is always it's more lax. Like, you're just, it's more fun.
It's more fun.
The parents don't quite understand it, so there's not that stress piece, right?
Because
like,
most of them haven't done freestyle, so they don't really know what they're seeing.
Yeah, so it's just like, hey, let's go have fun, right? And that's where most kids, if you ask them today, I love freestyle because of that fact, right? Like, there's not this internal stress.
I never thought about that, but I hear that a lot.
Right?
Like, oh yeah, I love summer wrestling, and there isn't pressure.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
The internal school pressure, it's 100% individual. It's for your state. It's my parents don't really care if I do well. Like, they're always happy for me, but there's not this burden. And my dad was good all the time, but it was just like, you just have that sense when you show up to practice. Everybody goes up in weight a little bit. You're not, so there's not this big weight cut in the summer. Everything related to it that is negative in the season is positive in the summer, right? And so freestyle wrestling, right, Olympic style, like that was, and I wrestled Greco 1 year at Fargo. I won, and then I retired. I said, I'm out on this deal. Yeah. Like, it's not going to be my future. But yeah, I just associate everything positive with that, right? And so you're going to want to continue that, as you go through.
Yeah. So I know this is very wrestling centric. So folk style wrestling is what everybody does in high school and middle school and college, where there is a bottom position where a person can get up, kind of fight to their feet and score that way. In freestyle, it's what you see in the Olympics. So in freestyle, one of the big differences is on bottom, you're going to go flat and try to keep the person from doing anything. Person on top can lock their hands. They can't lock their hands in folk style. And any time that your back is exposed in freestyle, it's points. So the matches tend to be much, much faster, and like scoring can happen. Like, a match can be over in a few seconds if somebody locks in a move and rolls you a few times. Whereas folk style, rolling or back exposure, unless it's in a pinning combination, really means nothing. So it's very similar, but it is different. So,
And what about and what's the difference with Greco?
Greco, you can't touch the legs. So we're talking all upper body stuff.
All throws, and really it's
you can't bring the arm under.
Cannot touch the legs.
Yeah.
You can touch them once they're on the ground.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, your knees can touch their knees, but not with your hands, type of thing, right? So you see all throws and hand fighting and pummeling. It's really the first ancient sport was Greco, right? Like, so if you think of back in the Roman times, and predates everything, the first sport in the Olympics was wrestling. Well, it was Greco, right? And then it's evolved from there, So it's, like you said, it's when you learn at a young age what it is, right? It's still just wrestling, but it's more fun. You score quicker. You're all on your feet. It's just, it takes out some, I view folk style, and it is, and I love it as much, but it's our national sport.
Oh, yeah.
They don't wrestle it in the world. The world wrestles freestyle and Greco. So
folk style, I think, is the reason we're so good at MMA.
Yes.
It's
control.
It's control.
It's control.
It's control. It's imposing your will. Yeah. Whereas, to me, the perfect wrestling style would be freestyle throws with folk style rules for the ground. That would be what I would design.
Control in MMA, like that to me is like that, you've got to have a sense of like, love the suck, like love the torture. Right. And if you don't, but that's what folk style wrestling teaches. Like, you literally have to love being exhausted. Like, you have to love that, like, I can't do anything tonight. I can't move. My body hurts. This, like, if you don't love that, you'll never be successful in the sport, right? Like, so that's why it translates so well to fighting and MMA. And like, that's just what you're grown up doing.
So MMA, you came up with, Cormier. Talk about that dude. Cause I cornered Tim Kennedy for 4 or 5 fights that Cormier was on during his Strikeforce reign. And then I think maybe 1 UFC fight, but so I was on the bus with this guy, sitting in saunas, all those things, and I found him to just be a trip. Like, he was always joking around, always pleasant.
If you're gonna be around Daniel, you better have some thick skin.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah.
literally nobody's safe. Right. And nor is he. Right. And he'll take it just as much as he gives it out. Right. Like, so I went into school and Daniel was this guy that was winning. You know, he made the 2003 World Team. He was primed. He made the 2004 Olympic team. This guy was in our world the greatest. Mm-hmm. But you got around him, right? And this guy's a goofball, right? Like he literally is busting balls the entire time, right? Like beating somebody in a wrestling match and then making fun of the guy that's next to him because he's it was constant, right? But that was him. And he's never changed. Like I talk to him frequently. He's the same today as he was when I met him in 2004, making no money.
Just imagine a bus in Vegas full of fighters. Everybody's dead serious. Everybody's quiet, and you just hear one voice on the bus. It's like was, like just
he was our ease, right? Like he was our relief when because I was more serious and ready. Yeah. And then you get this guy around you, and it's just like he took care of everything. He put you at ease, and for him, that's what he needed to do. But it also helped us, when we were around him, And
were you surprised by his MMA success? Because to me, he's one of the greatest of all time, no question about it. If John Jones doesn't exist, who is a once in a lifetime kind of phenom. He's going to be one of the greatest champs of all time.
And Daniel didn't start fighting until the 30s.
I know.
Right? Like, literally, he retired in 2008 at 30-some years old from wrestling.
Yep.
And then said, I'm going to do this fighting thing. And in my head, I'm going like, whoa, dude. Like, you're old. You're old. You're retiring from wrestling to go do another sport.
Yep.
Which is sort of unheard of, right? Like, if they retire, it's early so they can get into this fighting game. But, like, the dude's like a sponge. Like, he is one of the most athletic guys I've ever seen in my life. And like his ability that's like just pick up on stuff, like get beat in one thing, well, it'll never happen to him again, right? Like that kind of thing that you can't teach, he had, right? He had that it factor that you don't know how he has it, but he has it. Just watching him wrestle, and then it was going to transition into fighting, right? Like, and he didn't, his hands were way better. His ability, I mean, this guy, we're talking world-class wrestler. This guy's a world medalist, two-time Olympian, right? There's a difference, right?
Yes.
Well, he's at the top echelon, right? There's a couple of those guys, and, Henry and him and Dan Henderson back in the day. Like, these were Olympians we're talking about. There is a level to this stuff, right? Like, and he was the best at it, right? So, like watching that transition, he was sort of doing part-time Stillwater to San Jose at the front end, and then move full-time when he realized that this was a thing that he could be successful at. And, it's been awesome to see. And now he's in commentating. He's one of the best.
He's great because he's smart.
He's smart. He's so
he's
professional.
quick.
He talks about it like he breaks down the sport better, right? Like everything this guy does, he's great at, right? Like, and I'm sure he didn't have training at the front end on his commentary. He probably does more now, but like he just jumped in as a fighter and was doing these, one-offs as they do, right? And that's sort of your training, and it's just cool to see,
What do you think of the fact that a lot of wrestlers now are almost planning on MMA? As a career. You see the huge success that Bo Nickel's having already. 3-4 fights into his career, and a lot of guys. I talk to a lot of wrestlers, and they're all they're either talking about jumping to the WWE or they're talking about MMA. What do you think of that?
If you fight it, it'll be worse. If you embrace it, you can make it sort of an outlet for all your guys, right? Because you will have guys that want to win Olympic titles, guys that want to win UFC titles, and guys that are just want that show, right? The WWE. And if you fight that, you might lose out on some of those guys at the front end recruiting wise, and is the way I look at it. So I embrace it. Hey, you want to be a fighter? We'll go through this, college thing. You're going to have to anyway, right? Because you can't jump right now, right? You're not ready, right? So we'll go through this. We'll win some NCAA titles, and I'll make call to Daniel. He's still running camps at, he runs the San Jose with his Zinkins and all that, right? Like the AKA stuff. And, I can call this guy over here. All these wrestling people in the MMA world, we could make a call to any of them. You want to go Arizona with Henry? I'll call, whatever it may be. Or you got all these outlets. WWE, a guy that used to work for them for a long time, Briscoe, Oklahoma State grad. He was sort of their talent guy. So, Jerry, I just call him, and you want to go that route. And then of course the Olympic thing we got, right? That's us, right? So give them that option, and then you'll garner more. And some of them change, right? Like everybody thinks they're a fighter till they get hit in the face, right? Like that's the big thing, right? Oh, we're all fighters till you get shit knocked in, and then you're like, oh, maybe that's not for me.
Yeah.
Sorry for cussing, by the
No,
way.
you're fine.
Okay.
You can swear on this. You can drop F-bombs. There's no rules.
But you know, that's
It's
where
like Vietnam. There's no rules.
but that's like that thing where like everybody thinks they're a fighter, they're this and that, or they're WWE until you're in it.
Getting hit sucks.
Like I'll never be a fighter. Like I knew that, right?
Yeah.
Like I didn't like getting hit.
I feel like you could be a fighter if you wanted to.
Probably could have, but I didn't like getting hit.
Yep.
Like, and if I wasn't gonna like that, how was I gonna do this
Yeah.
thing? Because it's impossible to get good at it without sparring, without
Yeah.
like real live, like getting beat, right?
Yeah.
Like getting hit and figuring it
You
out.
have no idea.
Like, I don't know if I have a chin, right? Like, I didn't want to take that chance.
Yeah.
Right? I might have not a chin and get knocked out every time, right?
Yep.
Like, that's just wasn't a chance that I was going to take.
Wrestlers usually have chins. Like wrestlers usually, the question though is, it is a different kind of pressure. So I boxed. I was an amateur boxer. I've done wrestling, judo, jiu-jitsu. I'll say this: when you're outclassed in boxing or kickboxing, it really sucks.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're outclassed in wrestling or jiu-jitsu, it sucks, but it's a suffering kind of, as opposed to taking damage.
Like,
And my worst boxing moment, and you'll appreciate this. I was getting, I was 14-1. Right? I felt like I was a boxer, and I lost my first one. It was a split decision. It was like, I fought this kid that was a couple-time Golden Gloves champ. I didn't know it. I looked at him. I was jacked at the time, little, short jack guy. He was tall and lanky. This guy messed me up, like real bad. And I ended up shooting a double leg takedown on him because I was concussed. I was concussed.
You weren't thinking. You went back to your roots.
I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
Shot a double on him, picked him up, slammed him, mounted him, got on top, was about to hit him, got tackled by the ref. Literally don't remember this, but it's on video.
Yeah.
And I thought, I remember thinking I was going to die because he was beating me so bad.
Fight or flight.
And so at least I'm happy that I wanted to live.
Yeah.
So that's good, but it's a different kind of beatdown.
Yeah, it's just, and I wasn't versed mentally for that.
There's nowhere to go.
What's a double leg takedown?
It's a wrestling move.
Double leg takedown is where you touch one knee to the mat and grab their legs and pick them up and tackle them.
You did this during a boxing
During a
match?
boxing match, yes, correct. Correct. So yeah, I mean, but I need you to understand, this guy beat me like a drum. Like it was like, I typically think of myself as kind of quick, but this is what I think I looked like to him. Like it was just, he would hit me 5 times every time I threw a punch. Every time I threw a punch, I'd eat and they were, when you're an amateur boxer, you're throwing a lot of 3 pieces, a jab, a cross, and a hook. You're throwing a lot of, this guy was throwing, he's slipping, he's throwing, I'm eating uppercuts while I'm trying, that was the moment I realized, I'm probably more of a fighter than I am a boxer, because a boxer has real skill.
Yeah.
I was just tough.
Yeah. There's like boxing, like you're saying, like slipping, moving, right? Like things that you're developed from.
Yeah. I had a little head movement, but I wasn't like.
And that's why wrestlers become MMA fighters, not boxers.
Yes.
Right.
Points for the takedown?
No, I got disqualified.
I was say DQ probably.
I got disqualified. Yeah. And I do remember though, the best part, and this was when I was at West Point, and I had this sergeant that was in charge of the club, and I'm sitting there and people are telling me what happened, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. And he's just like, hey man, you didn't lose that fight. It's like, you won the fight. We're not here to train boxers. We're here to train, warriors. And I was like, I appreciate what you're trying to do here, Sergeant, but I tackled a guy in a boxing match. Yeah, that was yeah. So coming back to Daniel, why do you think he was so good And I'll actually tell you that at the time, you know, when I was cornering Tim, Greg Jackson's that was the camp to be at. It was absolutely
New
the
Mexico,
camp.
right?
Yep. And everybody, you know, at the time it was
Rashad.
it was GSP, Tim. Like there was a who's who of killers at Jackson's. But I remember after Cormier was there at AKA, the opposing kind of the second, it was kind of like Jackson's, and then AKA was like a sliver under Jackson's. Once Cormier showed up, I remember a conversation that Greg Jackson was having with Mike Winklejohn, who's his striking coach, about how AKA now had elite wrestling, and that was what they didn't have before, and it was a problem.
Yeah.
It was I just was kind of a fly on the wall for this conversation. And it was after Tim had lost, I think it was a split decision to Luke Rockhold. It was a really close match. Yeah. And we thought Tim was going to win the wrestling battle. And they kind of broke even. I think Tim probably out-wrestled him a little, but not enough.
Yeah.
And Luke was able to keep him outside and pick up points there. And that conversation was like, man, like this is Cormier.
Yeah.
So talk about that a little bit.
He had that it factor, right? But his ability to learn at a very fast pace compared to everybody else, right? Like it was just unmatched, right? Unheard of or unseen. And he's literally, he might be a goofball. He was the ultra competitor. You put him in that moment, he was gonna fight or flight. Like there wasn't this, I'll feel my way into it. I'll do it. Like he was the ultimate competitor. Whatever we did, whether we went bowling, whether we played video games, whether we wrestled, right? Like he was going to win, right? Like that's the way he thought. Everything was a competition, and he was going to win, right? And being a big guy and then being that athletic, right? Like it was unbelievable, right? Like just of what he could do and his ability to wrestle, to fight, whatever it may be, right? Like you shouldn't weigh 205 pounds or heavyweight as he went, but and be able to be that light on your feet and pick somebody up and like that that doesn't happen. Like you talked about John Jones, but that body mold doesn't happen, right? Like that's a once in a lifetime guy, right? Like it shouldn't be that big, strong, and athletic and be that fast.
The weird thing about Cormier too is he doesn't look the part.
No,
never did. He does not,
and he embraces it.
He does not look like a wrestler.
No.
He does not look like an MMA athlete.
No. And he embraced it, though. He didn't fight that.
He looks like a dude that, you know, probably played a decent guard in high school football.
Or something. A little short because he's not tall enough to play at the next level.
Yeah.
But wrestling, it doesn't matter, right? And that's why he grew to he played football, right?
Yeah.
And he was good, but his arms weren't long enough. He wasn't tall enough. You know, football's all about stats, right? And but wrestling isn't. We don't look to see. We don't care. We want you to see if you work hard and if you can win matches. That's it.
It takes a lot of time, effort, and resources to make the neutral position, and we couldn't do it without our sponsors. In 2016, a vet named Jason Murph slid into my DMs to talk about the seasoning he had created for grilling meats. I gave him some advice on marketing, and he sent me some samples of his new brand with a donkey on each bottle emblazoned with the words, "Grill your ass off." Fast forward 7 years. I'm at a charity event for veterans, and who's the headline sponsor? None other than Grill Your Ass Off. He still has the amazing seasoning that started it all, but now he's got condiments, beef jerky, incredible sauces, and even gear. Grill Your Ass Off won the American Freedom Fund Veteran Small Business of the Year Award and is committed to giving back to veteran causes and mentoring veteran entrepreneurs. The one downside? After using these incredible seasonings, you will be assless. That was a dad joke. You see, the product is called Grill Your Ass Off. So you know, you grill and then boom, ass gone. No? You don't like that? Okay. Well, anyway, check them out at grillyourassoff.com. That's grillyourassoff.com. Great taste, great company, great cause, no ass. Use NP15 at checkout for 15% off at grillyourassoff.com. That's November Papa 15. So talking about you, NCAA championship or bronze medal in the Olympics? Which one sits at the top of your wrestling career?
Probably for like my dad and everybody is probably NCAA, just because being in the U.S., that's what you gear towards, right? I think that the Olympic stuff was more me. So I remember his just elation after, just happy for me after NCAA's monkey off our back. It's what we talked about. You have those talks with your dad. Hey, what do you want to do? I want to be an NCAA champ, right?
Yeah.
I want to be a multiple time NCAA champ. This is this is why I'm going to this school. So I think when I finally won as a senior, his joy for myself was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So the Olympic stuff was sort of just on me. And then of course he was always that real voice of reason. Hey, you're doing this, making no money. What are you doing? Why you're married, you got a kid, and you're telling me you're just going to wrestle and make $12,000 a year, and you should be, and so he was always that voice of reason in a good way. He's but I think that the biggest one for me was actually making the Olympic team, right? Because you can't have that dream without making the team, right? You don't win the trials. There is no there's still a dream, but it's not attainable, right? So I think that match, and it was outside at Times Square, that wrestle off that we had in 2012 to make the team, literally that was the most joyous.
Who was your final match?
Sean Bunch was the best 2 out of 3, right?
Okay.
So, but I wrestled Reese Humphrey in one match at 1 p.m. and then 2 out of 3 was at 7 p.m. at those, where those stairs are at Times Square, right? Outdoors, they put a stage. And that's where we wrestled, right? It was at night, sun setting, on a mat in the middle, everybody in business suits walking by a stage of us wrestlers. Of course, it was packed, but that to me was probably the best. Of course, the games was unbelievable, full of emotion. This thing that you visualize, dream about, and it was way better than you ever expect, right? It was one of those things. No matter where you put it at, when you walk out for the first time, it was holy cow, this is emotional.
I've heard that from a number of people.
Yeah,
there's nothing like
there's nothing like
out.
it. Yeah. That first match, and I wrestled terrible because I couldn't control my emotional internal. I went, oh, this is great. Holy cow, I'm here, right? This is the Olympic Games, right?
Yeah.
And so then after that, you're fine, right? And I got through it, and I think that though making the team was probably the biggest, right? I had 60 some family friend members in New York, and then of course there was 96 that came to London to support me. Yeah, between my family, of course, in-laws.
I don't have 96 friends.
I didn't know it either. I didn't know it either until that moment, right? And then they're all of a sudden coming in. No, it was everybody wanted to go, right? How many times from a small town do you know?
Oh, of course.
Somebody that you can touch, and
Did you get the Olympic tattoo?
I did. It's right in the middle of my back, but I didn't do it till afterwards.
Like a tramp stamp, or
right in the middle? Right in the middle. No, thought about it, but no. I tell you what. So Daniel and Jamel Kelly made the 04 team, right? Daniel got his pre-games, and it's on his shoulder, and Daniel's on his calf, right? And Jamel got his after the games. Daniel ended up not medaling, and Jamel medaled, so I had to wait until after the games to get internally. But that's why I wanted it. I went to college, and these guys had this tattoo, and I'm that's freaking sweet. Very just rings.
That's a cool tattoo.
Nothing. There wasn't much to it, but it was that's a badge of honor. That's something I want. And my dad was growing up. He's no tattoos. This is. He's I don't ever want you to regret something that you won at 16 years old, right?
Yep.
And he's it's just not me, right? He's I actually think they look sweet. It's just I know at some point you're not going to want that, right?
Yeah. That's different though.
It's different. Well, so 2016 when I fully retired from wrestling, I finally got it, right? And I go, my cousin's a tattoo artist up in Virginia, and that's where my parents live, and I text him, hey, I'm coming up. Is there any way you can put this tattoo on my back? And my dad had been in the conversation, and he literally took me and paid for it because he's that's something that I want you to have. That now that you're 30 years old,
that's cool.
You this is something that you can, sort of live by, right? So he actually, he changed everything around. And
so, you brought up something earlier that your dad said, hey, you're doing this and you're only making $12,000 a year or whatever. I have generally found that when people do the thing that they love, it works out. And my journey has been, after I left the military, I went to Duke Business School. Mm-hmm. I got the Fortune 100 job. Life was, on paper great. And I really hated my life. And I don't want to be dramatic. I mean, it was a nice place to work, nice people, but I didn't feel like there was anything meaningful there. Yeah. So I started a business, and, I've kind of been an entrepreneur now for, I don't know, 16, 17 years or whatever. Lots of highs, lots of lows. Things are hard, but the entire time I've been an entrepreneur, I feel like I'm really living life. And so maybe talk a little bit about that.
It goes back to being a competitor, right?
Yep.
Like, first off, I hate money, right? Like, physically, it does nothing for me,
Yep.
right? Like, I don't need nice things.
Yep.
I wake up, I could sleep on a rock. It doesn't really matter to me, right? As long as my kids and my family's taken care of, like, I don't really.
Yep.
So it's never been my goal to chase money, right? And if you're going to be an Olympic level wrestler, money can't be a factor because there is none, right? Like, it's literally do it for the pride
changing,
of your.
though.
It is changing. It's a lot more now,
Yep.
right? But when I was there, we all made $1,000 a month pre-tax, right? And if you didn't have somebody like my wife, luckily worked full time, I was on her insurance. Like, we had a child in 2011, right? Like, so. Like, she made money, I made none, right? Like, and if I didn't have that, I couldn't have chased it, or I'd been, we lived in a small house.
And did you come up at a time, I'm trying to remember when they changed the rule, but there was a period of time where Olympians couldn't even have sponsorships.
Yeah, like, it was getting goofy, right? Like, so like I remember having a couple sponsorships leading into 12, like really like a t-shirt sponsor, very basic. Like, they're giving me free t-shirts so I can sell and make money, right? Like, there was no like big ones, but it was like this big thing. Like, if we catch you wearing this, if we catch you doing this, it can't be any symbols anywhere on anything you wear for the whole games. We're kicking you out, right? Like,
that's nuts.
And we're like, whoa, this is my income, right? Like, I don't have these people invested in me because of the exposure that I get as an Olympic athlete, but I can't wear any of your gear.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even on the award stand, we had these ugly, I mean, it's a cool jacket, but it's like ugly for the games in my mind. It was a brown, like bomber coat. Like, it looked almost like a Carhartt, and I wore jeans, Nike blue jeans, and these high top Air Force Ones on the Olympic stand. Yeah. And we got it from Nike, and I'm like, this sucks. There's no red, white, and blue. Zero red, white, and blue in any of my podium gear, right? And I was like telling you as a wrestling, like, I might just wear the USA. There's no USA anything on this, and they're like, they'll kick you out of the games. Like, literally, they're like, you're out of the village, you're out, right? Like, and so I couldn't take that risk, But like, I don't know. It's a very weird thing about sponsorships and games. They're so covenant.
What do you think about the changes to collegiate sponsorship? So now collegiate athletes can seek sponsorship, make money, the whole nine. Good, bad?
I hate it.
Do you really?
Yeah, like, and I have no issue with like kids making money. Like, that's not the issue. Like, if you want to do that, I just think it's taken away from, it takes away from what college was about, suffering, right? We're not supposed to make money in college, right? Yeah. Like, even the general student isn't. Like, you have to hustle, you have to suffer, you have to, going to college isn't about what you just learn in the classroom. It's about that daily schedule, that being disciplined, that showing up every day, like all these other things that making a little bit of money might take away from, right? Like, it makes life easier. Like, I don't know. Again, I have no issue with kids, and I'm always trying to help them do this now because it's legal, like, right? But it's sort of that love-hate thing. But like, I do believe if kids at a young age start chasing the dollar, right, like, they're going to live an unsuccessful or unhappy life, right? Like, I love what I do every day, and it's not because I make this amount of money, right? I don't even know what my base salary is. I can't, like, I sign it and it's done, right? Like, it's more about, I love going into the wrestling room every day. I love impacting kids' lives. I love changing lives. Like, that's what I love each and every day. So at a young age, if you only want to chase dollars, right, which is what this is teaching, hey, I'm going to hustle. It's taking away from this sport and us that we don't ever really make money, right? Like, so now you're only chasing this, and it's now hindering your wrestling, and then you're not going to make as much down the road. Whereas if you just invested in being the best wrestler of all time, everything's taken care of for the rest of your life, right? Like, it's just such a short-term, short-minded thinking.
I have mixed feelings about it because, on the other hand, I do think colleges make a fortune off of these athletes. Yeah. Less so in wrestling.
Yeah. We just don't see it in our sport, but like, I mean, just being on the back end as a coach, right? Like, the athletics piece, you remember, like, at a university, the athletics and the academia side. So academia is like every student, right? Like your tuition, your dorms. None of that's athletics, right? We've got to be self-sufficient in the sense that ticket sales and all that stuff supplement. There's only 2 for-profit sports on campus, basketball, football. Everybody else loses money.
Gotcha.
Everybody else.
Yep.
We got 28 sports, right? So without them making money, there is no wrestling. There is no 26, So I have like this, is what it is type of deal. But I agree. Like, I have no issue with kids making money. None.
Yeah.
But if that becomes your focus.
I understand what you're saying.
If that becomes your focus, you're losing what college is about.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I'm sure you've heard this statistic, but once you achieve whatever the living wage is, so in North Carolina, I think it's something like 48 grand. Nationwide, it's something like 56 grand.
Yeah.
Once you achieve that, there is no measurable increase in happiness.
Zero.
From making more money.
Yeah. Zero.
But people are very, very focused on, I need to make this.
Yeah.
I want to tell other people that I make this, or I want to show people by buying a fancy house, buying a fancy car. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against any of those things. Like, I'll happily make more money. Yeah. But making the decision that money is the priority very rarely leads to happiness.
Never. And in my mind, never.
And we do essentially teach that as a society.
Well, 100%. And I looked at this, and you know this. I'm reading this thing about what do Navy SEAL recruiters, or what are they looking for in the best candidate? Give me the ideal candidate, right? And it's the graph, right? And we've got trust on one side, right? And work ethic on the other side, right? Like, so I believe those are the two. I know one of them's trust, right? The ideal candidate's over on the far right, high in both of them, right? Our business world and our Fortune 500 CEOs are over here. Their work output's very high. We don't measure trust. These guys are scumbags, a lot of them.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what our world props up in the media and everything else, right? But these Navy SEALs want this person over here, and they'll actually take somebody that's higher trust, less output, because of the trust factor.
Yep.
We don't even look at that in the general population of this country, of the world, right? Like, we look at these guys that are billionaires, and they could be scumbags. We don't even know, right? Like, and that's where I view us, right, as this sport of making. Like, if you value only that, you'll probably become this,
So obviously, my company, Diesel Jack Media, we're not a Fortune 100 company. We're a small business. But what I've learned over time is I would rather have a group of people that work together well, that trust each other, than have even one high-performing producer that has a negative impact on the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Because even if they are amazing, over time,
it wears
everyone out. You have people starting to quit. You have people starting to whisper behind each other's back. And, so one of the things we do here that's a little weird is, the employees all rate each other. Mm-hmm. And I
like it. I got to do it every year.
And they rate each other every quarter.
Yeah.
And the idea isn't to have a gotcha or, this person's in trouble or anything. The idea is to force direct communication.
Yes.
Because sometimes people don't know that they're an asshole, or they don't know that they are doing something that bothers everyone else, or they just don't realize
they don't have the cognizant know about of what's going on, right? Like, big in coaching, right? Like, you have all these different places they come from when you have peers, right? Where they've come from, what they're raised on, all this, right? So one thing I've always said and done, and first off, you can't have an ego. If you have an ego, you'll never be successful here. And I don't care. Like, I don't have one. I don't care.
Yeah.
So if you have one, it's going to be an issue, right? Because it doesn't fly with me, right? And communication and relationship, right? Like, those are the two things. Like, communicate, of course, which builds a stronger relationship, and they sort of go hand in hand. No ego and strong communication will build a better relationship, and then you can have fun working together, right? Because of all those. If you let something creep in, or your ego, or somebody telling you this, you're doing more than you should be doing, being paid more, or you should be at this title, right? Like there's a lot of things, and everybody, and I'm sure everybody that works here, there's a lot of things that each employee doesn't know that they do, right? Yeah. Like, you think it's always easy to suggest the decision and not make the decision, right? Yep. And it's on me as a head coach to make those decisions, right? Yep. But there's probably everybody only knows, and my coaches only know probably 20 or 30% of what I really do in the office on the day-to-day, right? Like,
That's
so,
absolutely right.
Yeah. So suggesting what I should do, hell, you don't know what the rest of I do every day, right? Like, you don't know the conversations, the this, the that, the stuff that you don't need to know about.
The other thing that's hard, when I was a younger person, I was very hard on my bosses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was in the military, when I was a lieutenant, I judged the crap out of these guys. And then over time, you realize that, you know, we're all very fallible. Like, I don't make all good decisions. I make bad decisions all the time. I try not to make the same bad decision twice.
Should we cut and delete that real quick?
Hey, keep it down back there. But, you know, it is hard because you never have perfect information. You never know how things are going to work out. So you try to make the best moral decision, the best decision for, in my case, for the business, in your case, for the team. And I'm sure that you look back on a couple of athletes and say, man, I wish I had done this instead of that, or I wish, but you're weighing all of these factors, trying to build the best team.
Yeah, and I just look at it, have zero regrets in the moment, right? And you'll be all right, right? Like, I know there's always going to be decisions made that probably with, now that I have all the facts, which I didn't at the moment. So I made that decision, but I have no regrets at it because it literally was the best decision in that moment, right? Now, looking at it and I have the outcome and the facts, it probably could have been a little bit different, right? You know, but with my training, with my profession, I literally make decisions in the moment that I weigh it out and boom, that's the decision, right? And I don't look back. I go to bed every night having no regrets, and that's all I worry about.
I also take a do no harm mentality with every decision I make. So like anybody that stands for something, I have people that hate me. You know, I have former employees that don't like me. I have former business partners, people I've done, you know, some of the international refugee work that don't like me because we differ on things, or we see different, you know. And I'm sure some of the time I did do something that was wrong or whatever, but not immoral, you know. And so when I get in these situations and people come to me and they're like, hey, so-and-so that used to work for you, or so-and-so that you worked with, they said this about you. Like, I'm like, no, it's none of my business. I don't, they are allowed to have their opinion. I have nothing bad to say about this person. They worked hard when they were with me. We decided not to work together anymore. And like, I do not want to get revenge. I do not want to, and like, it's very freeing, and also kind of everyone's the hero of their own story. And maybe I didn't do something that person needed and I didn't realize it, you know, or maybe we just weren't supposed to work together.
That's right. There's always a reason for everything, you know, and I look at successful, whatever you judge success on, and being great at something, you're always going to piss people off.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, there's always this sense of selfishness that you have to make you great, or to, you know, I hate the word selfishness, but something that like inspires you to go further. So you're always going to have some struggle with people that don't quite understand that, and I might have missed something down the road, right? Like, I know that there's athletes that hate me, right? Like, literally, like, because what? Because I held you accountable? I don't know, right? Like, is there decisions I could have made a little bit better? Absolutely.
They don't think that you went all out for them. Or they don't think that you, But
my success rate is very high in the other end, right? Like, there's 99% of them that know I did, right?
Oh, sure. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. But you're still human.
Yeah, always.
And as I've gotten older, I really do try to view most people with a lot of grace. Unless I see them actively trying to do harm to other people all the time, or trying to do immoral things. But if they're not making immoral decisions, they just don't like me, or they don't like what I've done, or what, that's fine. Like, that's fine.
Yeah, you know, I just judge it. Are they a good dude?
Are they a good dude?
Like, just are they a good person? That's all I ask myself. And then I can go from there, right? Like, I can, and that's all I judge anybody on is, and I'm not going to associate. Not that I judge, but I don't associate with people that aren't good people.
That's exactly,
and that's it.
That is my policy. Exactly.
Are they a good person?
I extricate myself from the situation.
And that's all I want at the end of the day. Like, I want, like, you might not agree with me, but if you go, yeah, but he's a good dude.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with. That's all I want.
I am as well.
You know,
yeah.
and that's sort of what I judge my coaching thing on. Is he a good dude, right? I'm going to hold this standard, and it's my moral ground's my moral ground. This is where I stand, and that's it. I don't go past it. I don't go. It's not this gray area to me. Like I just don't do certain things. And is he a good dude at the end of the day? That's what I want to be judged on.
All right. Coming back to your career, we're gonna wind this up. But what's the most ridiculous situation you've ever been in the wrestling world? It's funny, scary, wild. You've traveled all over the world. You've done a lot of things.
Probably scariest was Chechnya. Spending a week.
You can usually just stop right there.
Yeah, like going wrestling. And so it was a crazy sort of trip. It was a 2-week trip to Russia, right? Yep. And so the first week we were out in Yakutsk, which is the furthest, it's the coldest city. Yakutsk, which is in the province of Yakutia, is like the coldest city in the world, right? Like if you Google it, whatever. And we went in the fall, right before their first snowstorm, right? Mm-hmm. But like it was craziest, like the most remote I've ever been was there, right? Like there's not like, hey, go to the corner store and there's somebody that speaks English, like zero. Nothing. It is straight up, I have no clue what you want. You can't read the menu. There is no English translation. We had no translator, right? And so we show up first we get there in the middle of the night, right? It was 2 overnights. So you overnighted to Moscow, spent a couple hours there, then it was like an 8 or 9 hour flight in the country to Yakutsk, right, from Moscow. So 2 red eyes in a row. You get there in the 6 a.m., 5 a.m., it's still dark. Nobody's there to pick you up, right? Like, so you're just like, okay, what do we do? Yeah. You have a coach and a couple athletes, no translators. So we literally grab our bags, truck down the road to the first hotel we see just to get inside and try to find. We're like, hey, a hotel should speak English. Finally get a hold. The dude slept in. So finally, 2 hours later, get a hold of the dude. He comes and picks us up, takes us to the training center. So we're there for a week. We wrestle a tournament. Good tournament, had some success. And then we're supposed to, in Russia's goofy, right? You got to fly through Moscow as an American to do anything, right? You can't just jet around.
Just go anywhere.
Yeah. And so we had to fly back to Moscow after the week, and we were going down to Chechnya for the next week, right? Which is in Grozny. They have this big tournament. Kadyrov usually comes and gives prize money, right? Yep. Which is sort of, that a couple of those situations I've been in, probably shouldn't be around this guy, but you don't have an option.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And people don't understand. There's a lot of people are judging this right now. It's big,
and I'm going to mention these names, right? That I'm going to be judged upon, but I didn't have a. I'm showing up to wrestle because that's making my living.
They also have not been in these situations where you're screwed if you don't go along with it.
Yeah. You just sort of keep your mouth shut, in my mind.
You can't disrespect
right.
the warlord when you're in his country.
I'm in Grozny. I'm sitting in Grozny. I'm just doing as told.
You're going to do what, and you'll deal with it later.
Yeah. So we get back into Moscow. Something happens. We miss our flight to Grozny. Well, there's not one for a couple days, right? And again, we don't have a translator, so we're just sitting in a hotel in Moscow. Hey, are we going to wrestle or are we going back home? I don't really care. Just tell me. We're working out in a hotel for 2 days, right? Literally on a treadmill, whatever. A dude shows up, calls our room. Hey, I'm in the lobby in a broken accent. And okay, for what? I got your plane tickets. Literally paper tickets. You're leaving in 3 hours. Yeah. Come with me. So we get on a flight, go to Grozny. Adlan Varayev picks us up. It's who Kenny beat in the '88 finals.
Yep.
He was the vice president of Chechnya, or of the Russian Federation at the time. He's actually passed away now. Fell in the fastest flowing river in Russia a couple years ago. Accidentally taking a selfie, I believe, was the statement. Yeah. And on everything.
At least he didn't fall out of a window. That seems to be common nowadays,
But we show up and it's Gadyrov's birthday, so the whole town is shut down. Everything's canceled, right? And he shows up on the tarmac in a G-Wagon to pick us up, right? On the tarmac. And we're not on a private plane. We're on a commercial plane. Get off of it. He grabs our bags. Literally, the worker gets up on the plane, grabs our bags, puts them in the G-Wagon. Everybody's yelling in Russian at everybody. And we have no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
We get out, and at first we didn't know what was going on because nobody was on the roads. Nobody's out. And he's got a little cop thing, buzzer, siren, traveling about 120 just through the roads of Grozny, no stopping at a stoplight, just hitting the brr, 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 to go through everything, right? Like, I'm like, what is going on here, right? Like, AK-47s, you know, we got a couple, like a convoy, and we're just a couple wrestlers, right? And anyway, you get there and you go and, you know, we wrestled, and it was, of course, a screwy tournament. They screw you, know, you better win by 10 or you lose. And anyway, we go out to dinner, and, you know, that night, and the bodyguards take us out to dinner, and it was first time sort of off complex, right? Because you're not really supposed to, Americans in Grozny, right? Like, is not a thing that probably should happen. They take us to this restaurant, and literally you walk in. We were the only people that didn't have a firearm on our hip.
Oh, yeah.
At a random restaurant, right? And I'm like, this is like, can we just eat and get out of here? Like, because if shit goes down, I'm gone, right? Like, I don't care who's with. We got 2, and there's every table, though. They're dancing. They just take it off and put their pistol, do their dance, put it back on their hip. And I'm just like, whoa. Like, you talk about just doing as told. Like, that's why. I don't have a firearm on me, right? Like, so that's probably one of the scariest. The other one was in Iran in 2013. Right after the games, we had World Cup there. We end up, I think we took second at the World Cup or whatever, lost to maybe Iran in the finals. But Ahmadinejad, who was there, you know, they got the supreme leader and the religious leader, but Ahmadinejad was a supreme leader, literally shows up and gets on the award stand with us. Right. And I'm like, you know, and this is like, we're like, whoa, I don't really want to be in this picture, but I can't do anything about it. Yeah, like,
can't do anything.
So you see this picture, there's a couple of us in the back, like,
and you're like,
not really, like, we're sort of like trying to shy away because I know this is going to be, because CNN's there.
It's going to be
like,
news.
Yes, it's because America and Iran, right? Like, so CNN's there, Fox News is there, like, all these people are there taking this picture, and he did it for publicity stunt, right? Like,
of course.
And he gets right in front of the U.S. on the award stand. And we're like, none of us are like wanting to be in this picture, but we didn't have an option, right?
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. So it was like one of those couple screwy situations I've been in, you know, where it's like, these guys are, you know, they're terrorists,
and you know that there were people judging you, and I would have done this. I wouldn't have.
First picture on CNN, you pop up the next Team USA with Ahmadinejad in this on the award stand, and I'm like,
but they have no idea.
No idea. Like, how it happened. Like, he literally popped out and like they ushered him right in front of the USA.
And what are you going to do?
Yeah. Like, we were all like,
you're not going to, you know.
We got off and we're like, well, that was some BS. I didn't want that.
This is going to be a problem.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Like, luckily, like, in that time, like, Twitter wasn't as big, right? It had just come around.
Yeah.
Facebook had just started a couple years early. So there wasn't this mass, Instagram wasn't around. There wasn't this mass hysteria or cancel culture over Team USA.
You would have had dudes on couches saying,
today.
I would have told them that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And the dude's small. The dude's smaller. Man, he was like 5'2", right?
Yeah.
Like, but you're like, I'm not saying a word.
It doesn't matter when he's
we get to the locker room.
The guns,
yeah, we get to the locker room and all of us are going like, boy, I didn't want to be in that picture, right? But what can we do, right? Even the coach is like, hey, sorry, guy, that was not told by me. Like, but you know, it is what it is. Like, you get in those situations, you know, whether it's in Iran or Chechnya or Dagestan, right?
And you have a great photo memory.
I do, right? Like, it's like one of those things. It's like, you know, you seen Gadirov and had to shake his hand in person, and Ahmadinejad, and like all these people that are viewed in public as terrorists, right? They're warlords.
Absolutely.
You know, but you don't have an option in some of these circumstances.
And sport is a great. Like, I think sport is such a great diplomatic thing.
It is. In Iran, I'll tell you right now, the people
amazing
love us.
Yeah.
Like, there was never this feeling of harm to us. Like, literally, you'd see people in the hotel and they knew you're American or Canadian, right?
Persians are great people.
Great. They're like, actually, we have no issue with, they would always say, no issue with America, only governments.
Yeah.
Like, they viewed us like we viewed them. We have no issue with Iranians, right?
Yeah.
But it was all government.
And I think that's true everywhere.
Everywhere. But we don't have that conversation ever.
Know, I've traveled to almost 60 countries. I've never been anywhere where I met people and was like, man, these people suck. Not even a single time.
No, it's normal. Like, I remember sitting in a sauna in Iran in a hotel, and there's other Iranian, not just wrestlers, but just general folk in there at the hotel, and they start talking to you. Of course, they're amazed that you're there because it's Iran and we're not supposed to be there.
And they have incredible respect
for
wrestling.
They literally are like, this is awesome. I've never really got to sit and talk to an American. And you just have that conversation, and they're like, just so you guys know, it's never the people versus the people.
Yeah.
We don't have any issue. It's always government and government.
Yeah.
And we're like, absolutely, like we don't think any different,
Yeah.
And we've had a few instances, you get outside of the big cities.
Yep.
We were up in Sari, Iran. I think it's like 6 hours outside Tehran at a tournament, and everything's in was it Farsi? Everything.
Yep.
Except for one sign, and it's big. It's the biggest sign in the arena. It's nuclear power is our right. And that's the only English thing that you could see in the entire town, right? So you're like, little unsafe. Yeah, yeah. But like it was like a couple of those, but like the people are great always, So, I mean, I've been to 30, 40 countries, whatever it may be, all for wrestling, and never had a bad real experience.
People are great. People are great.
Couple sketchy experiences, never a bad one,
So we're going to wrap up shortly, and I'm going to give you the rapid fire questions, of which the team here is also going to take part in. But before that, is there anything that you would have liked me to ask you that I didn't ask you? And that also goes for the room, if there's anything that you would like to ask Coleman.
I think that, I love being here, just talking, chatting. I think it's led us in a lot of different ways, I love that we have the same mindset on kids and raising kids and making men of them and ladies of them, and doing it the right way, not living vicariously through them and all that stuff,
Can't do it.
So I think it's awesome to hear. It's not just me complaining to other people about what we need to do with how we raise kids, type of thing. So through sport,
Yeah.
So
if the Olympics had never happened for you, what do you envision, or what do you think what you would have done after that?
no clue. No clue. I was all eggs in the basket. Like
this was gonna happen.
This was gonna happen. If it doesn't, I'll figure it out. Right? Like I would probably still be a wrestling coach.
He'd still be wrestling. Trying to make the Olympics.
Yeah, probably. Right? Like literally, like it was everything. I'm gonna do this, and if I don't, again, going back to, I'll have no regrets, and I'll figure everything out. Like I've got a degree with 2 minors. I'm married, have a family. Like I had no, like that side of part of my life I would have figured out, right? Probably gone and just worked and been an entrepreneur, because I don't know if I could just work for people. I thoroughly enjoy my schedule, but going to an office every day and hey, you got to be here 8 a.m. and leave by 5, that's not me. I'll get everything done, but if there's days I need out, so I would have probably just been an entrepreneur of some sort. Still want to do that type of stuff. So
you got time.
I remember when I was doing some research on you, I came across this game. Don't ask me. I don't know what game. Don't remember. It was one I think you thought that you won, and everybody else thought you won too.
Oh yeah,
and
the match.
Yeah, it was one of the pre-trials to the Olympics.
It was Olympic trials in 2016.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And he said something about 2-2. What is 2-2?
So it was actually crazy story. So it was against Tony Ramos, who's my assistant coach now.
Yep.
So Tony and I, I knew it was going to be close, right? I had made that transition. That was when the Olympics dropped from wrestling dropped from the Olympics, brought it back in 2013.
Yep.
Well, they changed all the weights and they took out 60 kilograms, which was my weight.
Yep.
So I had to go down to 57, which is Tony's been the prior 2 world team member at the time. And big, huge cut. Changed my 30 years old. I was miserable.
Especially when you're
I was a head coach. I was a head coach,
yeah.
small already,
Yep.
and made that cut down. Knew it would be a tight match, and it was really just a mental lapse in my mind of what the process was, right, or the procedures, because it changes in freestyle every year. The tie goes to this, the last score, there's all these things that would take an hour to explain to everybody because nobody could understand them, because I didn't even understand them.
And this was before they had it on screen.
It was not on.
Where there's the dot that says, hey, you have advantage.
Yeah, it was all just hopefully you knew what was going on. Well, I knew, but I didn't at the time, right? It was just a mental lapse. So I knew I was done at that after 16, because I was already a head coach. I knew this was my last go around. So lose to Tony 2-2, right? And I thought that I had won. It took him down late, but he had a golly, I can't even remember why he won. I can't remember why. But either way, he beats me. And the next day, of course, it was hard for my wife. She had known me from 2008 till 16, so 8 years. It was wrestling, right?
Yep.
That's what I did. And I told everyone, I'm done. I know my body's done. I want to be a head coach. I'm already a head coach, but this is what I want to do. This is where I'm going to devote my time. I'd already had well, 2 kids by then, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, it's time for that next step of my life. So she was taking it a little hard, right? Like I was satisfied. Like I was like, shit, my body hurts and I need to be done. I'm tired of cutting weight. And so driving home to the airport with the 2 kids in the car, we were driving out. It was in Iowa City, but we were flying out of Chicago because I didn't make any money, so I needed to save money, right?
Money,
yeah, and I needed to save money at that point. So we flew all 4 of us out of Chicago. So we had a couple-hour drive, and she's over there making an Instagram post crying, and I'm just driving like, I'm eating. I'm going to Giordano's or something because I wanted to eat, right? Like, I'm like, that's all I'm worried about, you know? But I get a call from Chicago, and I'm like, man, this is odd. I'm driving to Chicago, flying out, so I better answer. It might be the airlines or something.
Yeah.
And I never answer phone numbers I don't know. And I answer it, and it's Tony's brother who just beat me the day before, and it's Frankie. Hey, this is Frank and Tony. And I'd known him, right? Like, didn't really know him, but I knew who he was. And he's like, you can hang up right now, like literally, like. But Tony's going to leave Iowa City, and we respect you. And you had told Tony you were done, and I was like, yeah, I'm definitely done. He's like, so we want to talk about if he ever wants to train there, and like I was like, yeah, because I went straight to like, can this help our program?
Yeah.
And I was like, absolutely. Let me call you back. My wife's over there going, absolutely not. I can't. No, F him. He just beat you. Your career's done. No, we're not going down this road. And so I call my assistant coaches at the time, and I'm like, I put them both on a merge a call, and I'm like, hey, I just got this call from Tony, Tony's brother. He's interested in leaving, coming to Chapel Hill. What do you think? And they were all like hesitant. I'm like, guys, this is a conversation, because if you're not good with it, I'm not good with it. But like, and literally they both stopped. They're like, we're great with it, but like, how are you having this conversation? He literally just ended you're done, and you're going to call me and tell me this is better for the program. All of a sudden you're okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, like I'm a coach now. Like I'm done. It's the next thing. Like I can't like hold that entire, like I would hold our program back because I'm so freaking egotistical. I can't bring in a guy that just beat me. Like, and so I met with his brother an hour later, and he came.
I'm really glad you brought this up because living in the past is
it's done. It kill you.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, like he beat me. Like that was the rules. He beat me. Like it is what it is. Like,
but I also think this is a uniquely wrestling thing, because my thought, like, I hated to lose. Absolutely hated it. And I was one of those guys that would be in the corner, tears in my eyes.
Oh yeah, me. I was that night.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Like, so losing was the worst thing, but I always looked at it like, with the amount of time that I had in the sport, from the day I started wrestling my freshman year of high school, I did everything I could. Off season, running, cutting. There was nothing else that I felt I could have given in the time that I had allotted.
That's right.
And so if somebody beat me, I assumed they did more.
They did more. They did better. It was their day.
And even when I coach kids, the first thing that I tell them at the beginning of the season is, you've just signed up for the hardest sport there is. Unless you are national champion, your season ends in tears.
Every one of them.
Every single one of you. Yeah. And so if you're going to do it, you have to be a little crazy, and you have to love the process. That's right. Not just winning.
Can't love results. You got to love process. Yeah. Right. And like, I literally had to put it, like, I was done. Like, I knew I was retired. Like, does it suck losing your last match? Yeah. But what is there? Yeah. One person ever, 2 people that go out winning their last match, right? Like, it just doesn't happen.
But looking at it another way, it's a credit to you because he respected you enough that he wanted to learn from you.
Yep. Yeah, and he needed to change, right? Like, he was leaving Iowa, needed to change, and what better place to a guy that you just scrapped it out with, that's still young and wants to do this, and learn from a different system.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that story.
Yeah, so I met with his brother before, because I was not lying. We were going to Giordano's because we left early so I could have a freaking deep dish that I hadn't had in like a couple years. So he had met us right at Giordano's by the airport, and we had talked about it, and Tony was on a plane the next week to come out and check out Chapel Hill, him and his wife. And sure enough, he still lives down the road from me. And, it's like one of those things where you just got to put everything that happened in the past. Like, that doesn't matter, right? Like, it doesn't matter. If it can make me better or make us better, like, why would I let myself hinder that type of thing, right? So,
and again, even for you, even for a person that reached the highest levels of the sport, it is still a sport.
It's still sport.
He didn't come after your family.
No,
he beat you in a wrestling match.
Was what it was. Like, he beat me. Like, it was his day. Maybe if we wrestled the next day, I would have won. We don't know that, right? Like, but at that day, I lost and he won. Like, I still believe I was the best wrestler in the world in 2012. Now I got third. It was that guy's day. It was Asgarov's day, right? Like, it is what it is, right? Like, I still believe I was the best, right? Like, so yeah, but it was very highly contested. It was like the match that people wanted to see. The past Olympian, the new, like young guy. Like, it was good though. It was, it made me who I was.
Good for you hiring him. That says a lot about you.
You got to do what you got to do.
We got one more from the Peanut Gallery.
Olympic medal. What's it like when you get it in your hands?
It was bittersweet taking third, right? Like, because nobody wakes up, and I don't want to sound bad, like, nobody wakes up wanting to be a silver or bronze medalist, right? Like, literally, you have one dream and it's gold. Like, and it's like you said, what do I do? Like, I literally thought that I was going to be a gold medal, right? Like, so you're like really happy in the moment, right? Like, I was thrilled. Took bronze. It was a close match right at the end. I had 96 people there, like, so happy that I could give, like, because if not, it's a participation.
It's huge.
Like, it's
huge.
big. But then, like, once you get on the award stand, you hear the Azeri national anthem, you're like, screw this, dude. Like, this sucks, right? Like, so you go to this other place, right? But, it doesn't ever define me who I am, but, like, it meant, like, everything to, like, it gave affirmation to that I was doing the right things, I guess, like living the right life. Yeah. All the people around me, like, gave their lives to me to chase this crazy dream of being an Olympic gold medalist. Like without that, like, without my wife working, without my parents driving me every weekend as a kid, without, I had a daughter in 2011, the week before the World Team Trials in 2011. Right? So without my mother-in-law, she didn't even come to the games because she watched my daughter for that year. Like, I missed her first birthday to make the Olympic team in 2012, right? Like, so without these people sacrificing their lives to let me do this, right? Like, there is none of that. Like, I can't do that without this support. Like, we always talk about support, right? No, that's support. Like, people putting their lives on hold, in essence, so you can chase this crazy thing, right? Like, I remember having a conversation with my father-in-law, and he's like, couldn't wrap his head around at the beginning, like, whoa, you're not going to go get a job? Like, you're going to make $12,000 a year and I just told you could marry my daughter? Like, what are we doing here? Like, she's going to make the money? Like, that's not how we work. Like, I was like, I understand, but I'm looking at long term. It'll pay off, right? Like, and he was supportive, right? Don't get me wrong, but it was a discussion that had to be had, right? But, like, that was a hard discussion, right? Like, and he was right. Like, what are you doing, right?
At some point, you need to work.
You need to work, right? Like, you're wrestling, right? I mean, that's not a job.
Olympians are pretty.
So, like, all that stuff poured into that medal, like, and that's what I was, like, so overwhelmed at the front end. Like, as soon as I won, like, I gave them something, like, it gave them affirmation, I guess is what I'm looking like. I knew I was going to be happy, right? Like, I was going to be glad, like, everything I did, I had no regrets, but it gave them something to go, man, we were part of that.
We did it.
We did that. Yeah. I gave up. My wife gave up her life. My mother-in-law is sitting at home in Oklahoma with my 1-year-old daughter. So my wife and my father-in-law and my brother-in-law can be at the games to support me. Right? Like, that was just as much support as they were there, right? Like, somebody had to do it, and she was like, I'm doing it. I'm staying back, and, like, it wasn't a question. She just said, I'm doing it, right?
That's
like,
awesome.
So to have those people, that's who it was for, right? Like, that was the biggest thing to me. Like, the best man in my wedding being there watching me win that medal, right? Like, that's who it's for. That dude supports me, still calls me daily, right? Like, that's who that's for, right? It's a little bit for me, but it's for those people that stop their lives to come support me in this crazy dream, Awesome. So that's what it means to me,
That's awesome. And now it's time for the Warrior Rising Veteran Entrepreneur of the Week. Warrior Rising is the preeminent veteran entrepreneurship charity in the galaxy. Warrior Rising provides education, mentorship, grants, and more to veteran entrepreneurs. No one helps build more successful vetrepreneurs than Warrior Rising. Each week, Warrior Rising selects one vetrepreneur to feature in our program. Here's this week's. Warm weather season is starting. The days are getting longer, and people are trading in their snow shovels for sunglasses. With warm weather comes more time spent outdoors, and what better way to spend outdoor time than with rollers? The scientists at Rollers took bocce ball and fused it with ultimate frisbee and sprinkled in a dash of chance and a soupçon of love to create the best outdoor game you've ever played. Planning a camping trip with the family? Throw Rollers in the trunk. Grilling out with some neighbors? Crush them in front of their kids as payback for the ghastly pink flamingo in their front yard. Tailgating with some friends? Don't drink and drive. Rollers wants you to be safe. But also bring rollers. It's a blast. Just hear from these accounts of what it's like to play rollers.
Have you ever been attacked by an alligator, a wildebeest, and a chimpanzee all at the same time? I have. Thanks, rollers. I couldn't have survived it without you.
What more do you need to hear? So go to rollers.com and get yours. That's ROLLORS.com. Rollers, bringing friends and family together, one game at a time. All right, so we're going to do rapid fire questions. I'll ask you a couple, and then the peanut gallery will all ask you something. These are just like, give me the first thing that comes into your mind. What is the toughest animal that you could defeat in hand-to-hand combat?
Lion.
You could defeat a lion and hand it.
Just kidding.
Right out of the gate, say lion. Why?
That's where your mind's got to be. I don't know. Like,
Well, you are.
And this is why
I'm not saying
this
I
is the
would
difference.
defeat, like,
For those of you wondering
But-
what the difference is between regular people and an Olympian,
so the first thought as you were saying it,
a full-grown lion, a full-grown, like a
yeah, you know,
adult lion.
like that's where, yeah, like the first thought was Khabib and a bear, right? Like, because you look at all that stuff in Russian and these rest, but you know, my thought was like, well, what's bigger and badder, right? Like, and it's the king of the jungle, right? Like, I don't know. That's where my mind would be, right?
Well,
I know I'd get my tail whipped, but like, you got to at least give it a
going
go.
after the
you
lion.
got to give it a
All
go.
right. I will tell you that you currently have the award for the toughest animal that you could take out. All right. You can change one thing about the country. You're God for a day of the United States of America. You can make one permanent change to the country that will make this a better place. What is it?
And I don't know how to do it, but get rid of all the divisiveness, in essence, over nothing, right? Like, we don't see, like, our country sees people as color, religion, this. Well, if you just sat down and talked, it's probably none of that, right? Like, so just get rid of the divisiveness that's created at a young age, I believe, through external sources. If I don't know if that makes sense,
Yeah,
but
totally
like,
makes sense.
I want to make sure my kids they don't see that, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if I could do that for the whole place, I believe this would be a much better country, you know, whatever the divisiveness is.
All right. Peanut gallery, quick.
Is your wife more competitive than you?
1,000% yes. Yes, my wife is 1,000 times more competitive than me.
Seriously.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, she gets like more upset like with my team than like I have this sense of reality of where we're at, what we're doing, but she is like, it's like cutthroat
So
around
she's
my house.
committed to your college team.
Oh yeah. She doesn't miss anything. She goes everywhere. She's there. Like, we had dinner at the house with them last night. Like, she's all in. She loves it, right? It fills her fire because she was an athlete.
Yep.
So it fills her void of competitive as it does, right? Like,
Yep.
she's more competitive than I am, like 1,000%.
So the wrestler that beat you, what was his name?
It was Togurul Asgarov from Azerbaijan.
No, in Iowa.
In Iowa. Oh, Tony Ramos.
So when they moved in down the street, did she like take them a poison pie or something?
She struggled. She struggled because of the competitiveness to get over it way longer than I did.
Really?
Right? Yeah. And now our wives like talk every day, right? Like, her and Megan they text and talk and see each other. She was there. She went over their house last night to take them something and stayed for an hour, like, to talk, right? Like, so for me, it was like, I don't care. Like, it is what it is, right?
Yep.
She couldn't do that is what it is shit. Like,
Yeah.
she was like,
Yeah,
no,
it was-
he beat you. This is,
And we
I don't know how you're doing this.
And we need vengeance.
Yeah, like, and then it took her a little bit. Now that it was.
Is she
sort of-
Italian?
Huh?
Is she Italian?
No.
Okay,
No,
just
she
checking.
is not. But
Just
it's
check-
like, I know exactly what you mean, and that's usually what it's like. Yeah. No. Native American and Mexican. And
Okay, all
that's
right,
where-
all right. Yeah. Kelsey, what do you got?
Yes,
Kelsey?
it is.
Fire remix. I'm very familiar with Caribbean and the just Latinas.
Yes.
And one.
The Latina is where it
Family
came
full of
from.
it.
I believe the Latina on our mother's side is where it came from.
Gotcha.
Because I see the rest of the family,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
It was a very Italian woman attitude. That's why I
Yes,
was asking.
it's like literally there's like one, like the side, her mom's side, and like the whole family is
Yep.
that way.
Yep.
And it's literally like, it's Broderick, and like we know where it came from. Like it's that little,
Yep.
you know, and they're all like that.
Kelsey, what you got?
Oh man, I'm trying to think. Now I'm in the hot seat.
Back to you, Dan.
Back to you, Nick. Come on.
Hands on it.
Wait, I actually, you seem remarkably zen, pragmatic, realistic, calm. What do you think then, if you had to choose one thing from your life that has made you who you are as you sit here today and speak, what do you think that is?
Being that, like, so being me being calm and everything in these settings, right? But being able to, like, when I stepped foot on the mat, I was known, and it's not something good, but like, I was sort of a jerk when I wrestled, like in
Sure.
the sense of like like I didn't
Yeah.
care. Like I would like not do what it took to win, but like in essence, yeah, like I wasn't the nicest guy,
Oh, yeah.
right? So like I had this tweet the other day, this guy, NC State fan, of course, I saw Coleman Scott at a Little League wrestling tournament, one of the nicest humans I ever met. I can't believe that, right? Like, and like literally I was reading, like, so that's me, right? Like when I'm in moment, I'm intense.
Yeah.
I'm like, you've seen me, coach. Like I'm yelling. I'm going to get in the ref spot. I'm going
There's
to
a
get my
great
guy.
picture of you like 4 feet off the ground.
Yeah,
I was like,
jumping,
man,
like-
how did he get that high?
Yeah.
Like, it was like taller than you.
But,
I mean,
like,
you were just
People like then talk to me in a setting and they're like,
Yeah.
well, how are you so calm? Like
You have the switch.
I have a switch, and
Yeah.
that's probably the best thing that I have, right? And
Yeah.
I just hope that I can impart that on my kids, because I believe when you're in any competition, any sport, like you need to be in that mindset. But as soon as it's done and I walk out a door, it's it. That's it. I'm done. I don't need
Yeah.
that anymore, right? For those next couple hours, you know.
it's also the competitor mindset versus the coach mindset
Yeah.
is very different.
Very different.
When I used to train with Tim Kennedy when he was a fighter, it was horrible. I mean, one, I was significantly outclassed, but two, he did not care about any of us in terms of like our health when he was going for the championships, and he was like, we were bodies that
have to be.
that were in place to set him up for success. But now when we roll, it's like, hey, like, you should be thinking about this in this position, or you should work on this. It's a different thing. It still sucks because he's great, but it is not the same thing anymore.
So I think that that's the biggest struggle between, we think that because somebody's great at something, like as a competitor, that they're going to become a great coach. But if you can't make that change of what you just mentioned, like I don't go into practice when I wrestle to say, I'm going to just smash this
I'm going to
dude.
smash my guys.
Because when I was competing, I didn't care. Like whoever you put in front of me, I was going to try to smash them, right? But I can't have that mindset, right? Like I'm trying to teach these kids. So like if you can't change that, then you'll never be a great coach, if that makes sense. Like Tim's probably a great coach because he can do that, still have success, but show you this is what you did. When he was training, I can promise you there was no stopping to tell you what you did wrong.
No, he didn't.
I didn't care.
Yeah.
That's the selfishness you need.
It's an incredible.
You better catch up, or I don't really care about you. I'll get somebody new.
Somebody faster.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's the way you got to compete.
Exactly.
But as a coach, you got to help that process along, right? But if you can't make that change and again, that's your ego.
Yep.
If you're too worried about beating a college guy now, like, does that really do him any good? No.
Yeah.
Right. But I can push him. I can help him. I can talk to him after.
Yep.
Right. Like, so still make their life hard in certain ways.
Yeah.
Right. Like, but they're going to have success.
What's it like having two first names?
Terrible, because growing up, it was Scott Coleman 90% of the time. Still, I send emails with my signature on it, and I get a response, "Dear Scott." No, I put my name Coleman Scott, and there's no comma for a reason, right? Like you might have made a mistake in your signature. No, I did not. But yeah, I get it every day to this day.
All right, last question. Your mind is going to get wiped out, and you're going to start over at 18 years old. You can only keep one skill. What is it?
Survival. I can figure the rest out.
Love
Being able to survive, wild hunting, like all that survival of drop me off in the middle of nowhere, I'll be all right.
Love it.
That's I think you can figure everything else out.
Love it. Well, Coleman Scott, thank you so much
Hey,
for
thank
being
you.
on the neutral position. Like, really enjoyed it. We'll see how the audience does with this hardcore.
I know, it was a lot of
all
wrestling, yeah.
all the time, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the time.